So Beto O'Rourke is going to be facing off against Ted Cruz in the Senate race in Texas, and I heavily support Beto O'Rourke. He seems to be pretty progressive, on top of the clear fact that literally anybody is better than Ted Cruz. There's pretty much, you could pick some random dude off the street who's not insane, and he's going to be better than Ted Cruz because Ted Cruz is quite the crazy guy. But he linked to this article that was really crazy that I wanted to talk about because it's pure insanity. Now, this tweet that he tweeted out said 4 in 10 Texas school teachers have to take a job outside the classroom during the school year to meet family expenses. Considering everything they do for our kids, let's finally start paying teachers a living wage. So, I clicked on the link to the article and then I went to the original Texas State Teachers Association document. And I wanted to read this to you guys, man, because it's really astonishing how crazy this is. So, this is what it says. It says, as Texas teachers and students return to school this month, about 4 of every 10 teachers expect to take extra jobs outside the classroom to meet family expenses. I want to stop right there, full stop. The fact that 40%, 4 out of 10 of every teacher, of all teachers, have to take an extra job outside of the classroom is really, really crazy. Because teaching is a full-time job. It is a full-time job. It requires a ton of work. And it is no joke whatsoever. It is some difficult stuff, especially in certain people's circumstances too. And so the idea that these teachers have to pick up a side job just to be able to make it is insanity. It's honestly, that's not a country I want to live in. I think that really the way that we should judge countries is by the quality of life of the people in it. And if we have teachers, 4 out of 10 in Texas, by the way, this is Texas, as I stated already, 40% of teachers in Texas had to pick up an extra job just to live. That's not a country that I want to live in. That sounds like honestly like a nightmare made up country. It's insane. But it gets even worse. It says, survey respondents also reported spending an average $738 a year on non-reimbursed school supplies. Spread across all 350,000 Texas teachers, this represents a potential $250 million annual subsidy that underpaid teachers are providing to Texas's elected leaders who are neglecting their responsibility to adequately fund public education. Some 39% of Texas State Teachers Association respondents said they needed second jobs during the school year to supplement their school salaries. This is a noticeable increase over the 31% who reported moonlighting in 2016, the last time the Texas State Teachers Association commissioned a similar survey. Most teachers said the extra work affected their teaching, but believed that they had no choice financially. That is insane. $738 a year on non-reimbursed school supplies. It says this represents a potential $250 million annual subsidies that underpaid teachers are providing. So here's what this means. They're not even paid living wages to begin with. 4 out of 10 of them, they have to pick up extra jobs just to make ends meet. And on top of that, the government, in lieu of the government adequately funding public education, what do? They put the burden of paying for these school supplies on the teachers themselves. So the teachers themselves are getting paid garbage. They're getting paid shit. They're getting paid trash. And somehow they shoulder the burden of the school supplies. It was a funny joke that one of my teachers actually made about the teachers having guns idea. It's like, okay, like who what happens if you run out of bullets? Like, you think the government's really going to cover that? It's pretty insane. The lack of public education funding, especially in right-wing states, it's a lot worse in right-wing states because they don't like taxes. And less taxes means less money, and that means less money in the public education system. But it's not over yet. It goes on saying 56% of respondents said they had summer jobs when school was not in session, compared to 49%. 56% of teachers in Texas should not have to pick up a summer job. The summertime should be time to take off. That should be time to be able to, relax with their kids, especially, but, relax with their family, take time off, have fun, get ready for the next year. You shouldn't be working all year. That's insanity. And that's supposed to be one of the benefits of teaching. But when you aren't even making enough to where you had to pick up a summer job, that essentially dilutes the whole point of that in the first place. Goes on to say the average salary of the respondents was $53,221, a few dollars more than the state average for the 2017-18 school year and $7,300 below the national average. Yikes. Based on National Education Association data collected from the states and District of Columbia, this ranks Texas 29th in teacher pay. Teacher salaries are increasingly eroded by rising health insurance premiums, as well as out-of-pocket expenditures on classroom supplies. Survey respondents paid an average $359 a month on health insurance, compared to $326 a month 2 years ago. The $738 annual school supply expenditure jumped from $656 in 2016. So on top of all that, they have to pay massive fees and costs for health insurance. And on top of that, it seems that every year the annual school supply expenditure goes up. It says teachers and other school employees shoulder a large part of rising healthcare premiums because the state hasn't increased its monthly per employee contribution of $75 since the current health insurance plan was implemented in 2002. 2002! This is the... Okay, I always have a conflict in my mind about which state is the most backwards. I mean, there's essentially a competition going on between the some of the, the southern states for sure are definitely in it. You got Texas is one of them I think of, Florida is one of them I think of, North Carolina is also a really big one, by the way. They're also really insane out there too. Alabama's another state. But the problem with a lot of these Republican states is because they're so against taxes, what ends up happening is you get these essentially public education starved, that's what you get in states. You have public education, which is starved of funds. So you're going to have teachers making trash. They're going to have to pay a shit ton in health insurance, and they're also going to have increasing costs for school supplies that they have to cover in lieu of the government paying for it. It's public education. So just the fact that they're not even covering enough, they're not paying enough in the first place, and then in lieu of the funding for supplies for classrooms, it's not the government that picks up the tab. It's the teachers who pick it up. So despite them being so poor, they have to pick up that burden, which is in fucking sanity. But these insurance prices are so high because they haven't changed its monthly per employee contribution since 2002. Well, let's do some math. How long has it been since 2002? Well, what's the year right now? 2018. That means it's been 16 fucking years since they've changed it. Oh, man. Now, it goes on saying, this is what happens when the governor, lieutenant governor, and their legislative allies refuse to adequately fund public education. Teachers are being forced to take extra jobs to meet their families' needs as well as those of their students. The House approved legislation last year to improve public education funding by as much as $1.8 billion during the current budget period, but Governor Greg Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick slammed the door on it. I want to say this. Both the governor and lieutenant governor of Texas, you are heartless dickbags, heartless assholes, heartless douchebags who somehow don't have the heart to, at the very least, pay enough money to cover the school supplies that are picked up by the teachers who are already paid dirt because of what you're paying them. It goes on. Our teachers nevertheless remain dedicated to their students' success, even if it means spending evenings and weekends extra at jobs away from their families. That breaks my heart. That breaks my heart. That really, that hurts me deep because the fact that these people have to pick up other jobs just to be able to, make it, man. And they have the tall task and the such important job of teaching the kids who are the future of the country, the future of the world, the future of the economy. The future of the economy should be in hands of good teachers because good teachers obviously pass off they good guidance and provides them with a better future. And so The fact that they're not down to pay for that is unacceptable. And also, something that I wanted to tell you as well is that this is from TPR. I want to say that's Texas Public Radio, but yeah, it is. It says, educators in states across the nation have gone on strike for better compensation, but Texas teachers are discouraged from joining the picket lines as engaging in, quote, organized work stoppage could result in loss of certification or retirement benefits. Holy smokes. This is why collective bargaining is so fucking important. Collective bargaining. 2 words. 1, collected. 2, bargaining. Extremely important. These right-wing states are complete dicks.